My name is Vincent Vargas, and I was active duty for 4 years with 2nd of the 75th Ranger Regiment. After 4 years of active duty, I jumped into the reserves as a drill sergeant. I did that, and I was activated in 2010 to Fort Sill for a while to push some troops. And then I did a small time as in PSYOP in a 37 Fox position. Eventually getting promoted back into a drill sergeant unit that I'm in currently right now. Working on currently getting out of the military because of the fact just life has kind of gotten busy for me, and it is time to walk away, to hang up the boots and focus on my new career in entertainment. You know, what inspired me to join the military was the fact that I was getting kicked out of my college for being academically ineligible, and at the same time I had a daughter on the way, and so it was a pretty easy decision. I was watching on TV, I was at a bar watching drinking some beers with a partner of mine and seeing on CNN a Marine who was putting a flag over Saddam's head. And the family was all in studio and they're crying and they're so proud of their son. I kept thinking to myself, like, I can't imagine a time where my parents were that proud of me. Not like I was a terrible kid, but I just didn't do anything great. And watching what he did, it made me feel like maybe I should do something as well. I knew that was going to be the answer for multiple different things. I'd have insurance for my kid finally. I'd have some money for my daughter finally. I'd be doing something that's bigger purpose than myself and my family would be proud of. And so that's when I decided, you know what? It's time to join the military because one, I didn't want to be the guy at the bar 40 years from now not having any war stories, because for me, I thought it was pretty cool. Two, I was going to finally be able to afford something for my daughter and give her a life that I think she deserved. And three, to be honest, I felt like if the most unfortunate thing happened and I died in combat, that wouldn't be so bad for my legacy, for my kids. As crazy as that sounds, I didn't believe I was good enough for anything else. And so the military was kind of my final draw. I was an 11 Bravo, or when I signed my contract, I was 11 X-ray with a Ranger contract. And so that means I went through basic training, airborne, and already had in my contract to go an attempt to RIP, which is Ranger Indoctrinal Program. And once I finalized that process and I made it through, luckily, I was sent off to 2nd Ranger Battalion. A little insight on that. So I was dyslexic. The reason I was so bad at school is because I couldn't read, and I never asked for help, and I never told people I couldn't read. I actually graduated high school with somewhere, I think it was a 5th grade reading level. And for no other reason than the fact that I was dyslexic and I never got the help that I needed. When I got into the military, luckily I got through the ASVAB test. I scored high enough to just get by. But in RIP, Ranger Indoctrinal Program, we had a written test. And because I read slow and because I have difficulties reading, I couldn't get through the test. So the first test I actually failed. I called my mom, let her know, like, look, I might not be able to make the whole, get through RASP. I might not be able to graduate because I can't pass the written test. And my mom already knows that I have struggles with this. And she says, go back and study, ask your friends to help you, this and that. And one of my good buddies sat down with me and we went through the test over and over and over again. And I was fortunate enough to pass the test by 1 point. And my Ranger career continued from there. During my career, I went to several different schools. I went to language school for Pashto, WLC, which is an NCO development course. I went to Ranger school. I went to, eventually after active duty, obviously, I went to drill sergeant school. From drill sergeant school, I went to air assault school. I went to combatives level 1, 2, and 3. Many different schools throughout my career, obviously PSYOP school. And in many of those, I've done really well in those schools. And so most of my career, I feel like half of it's been spent in training, but I wouldn't take it away from anything because I feel like I've learned so much about myself throughout all those. So I guess one of the fun stories I have in my career is I graduated Ranger school with one arm. And saying that, in Mountains phase, after rappel week, during one of the patrols, I fell down the side of a hill and I caught my rucksack on a branch, which ended up inadvertently severing the brachial plexus nerve in my shoulder. And so what happened is the arm the next day was dead, and it was actually dead for almost a year. There was I can't do anything with my arm and moving it, but all I can do is close my fingers, and it had very little strength. And so throughout the rest of the time in Ranger School, the muscles atrophied and became very thin and little and small. And I was fortunate enough to have great Ranger buddies to help me throughout the process. And I remember receiving an award at the end of the cycle, and the general goes to salute me, and I had to assist my salute with another hand. I explained to him what happened. After that, getting home, I went through a lot of physical therapy and hoping that the nerves would grow back, and they did, fortunately. Well, I found myself in the entertainment industry sometime in 2013 when I reconnected with a Ranger buddy of mine named Matt Best. We started doing Article 15 clothing and YouTube. And the YouTube is really what kind of drew me in. I got really excited about being on film. I was excited about portraying a character or an exaggerated version of myself. And so that kind of grew into other things. Eventually we produced our own movie called Range 15. Some of you might have heard of it. And that was it for me. You know, when I was actually on set during Range 15, I told Nick Palmisano, the owner of Ranger Up, and I told him, I said, you know what, I think this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. This is probably the direction I want to go. In saying that, I didn't know how much hard work it was going to take. You know, we were fortunate enough to be able to raise the money and the community come together to help us produce this movie, which was a blessing, but it never would, I mean, I don't know anyone else who starts their career the way I did, you know? And so from YouTube, got onto Range 15 and then eventually jumped into other skit comedy with Dads in Parks, and those are on YouTube as well. And all that kind of combined was turning into my demo reel. Eventually, I was given the opportunity to audition for Mayans MC, and using Range 15, using some of my YouTube videos, a short film that I created myself, and as well as Dads in Parks, that was enough for them to see that I could act, and they gave me a chance. And so I went in for the audition and landed a part, and now currently on Mayans MC, I'm flying into LA here soon in a few days for season 2. So coming off of active duty, there was a lot of difficulties in transition. You know, I got out because it was time for me to get out for my family reasons. I just recently lost two guys in our platoon that were very near and dear to my heart. And so I questioned a lot of what I was doing and why I was doing it, and I thought, you know what, maybe I should try and be home more often. And so I got out of the military, and right away I struggled with drinking, I struggled with PTSD, and I struggled with FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. I started getting calls about missions and hearing about Leroy Petrie and what happened during that mission. You know, all those things, it affected me in a way where I didn't understand what I was going through. I was starting to have speech issues. I was kind of a small stutter developed. And living in Arizona, there was a lot of dry areas and mountains. I started having these kind of like daydreams of being in combat. And so I noticed I had some issues. I noticed there was something there that needed to be checked. I was drinking to try and get better sleep. At the same time, I wasn't sleeping good. And then I was just drinking more because I was finding reasons and excuses to celebrate the lives of the fallen that were in my platoon. And it ended up consuming my life. It ended up consuming it in a bad way, where I wasn't focusing on my future. I was actually just trying to respect my fallen brothers by drinking for every single event. I don't know why. For Memorial Day, for Veterans Day, for their birthday, for my birthday, for the anniversary date of their death. Like, I just kept finding different reasons to celebrate for them, and it affected me. And it kind of took me down this little downward spiral where I knew I needed help. Fortunately, by the time I got into the Border Patrol, and my partner introduced me to a counselor named Tanya Glenn, who helped me out and helped me see past a lot of the issues that I was struggling with, and sometimes still continue to call and ask for more help, you know. And so she's been a big help to, I believe, the success that I have, and I try and pass it on to others as well. I think one of the most important things in transitioning is trying to regain the comfort of camaraderie. That's something that we all lose, right? We miss our brotherhood, we miss the laughs, the jokes, just the camaraderie. And so one thing I've been able to do is bring a lot of guys together with Hero Sports as a nonprofit that I'm associated with, that I'm actually one of the founders of. And we play sports, and it's a small thing, right? I think PTSD, I think transition is a deeper, it's a 7-layer cake. but at least one of those is going to be bringing the camaraderie, getting guys out of their house and being active again with the same group of individuals who are like-minded and kind of know what they've been through. And so that's something that's also helped me as well, is finding sports and events for veterans and being able to be around other veterans and using that as a moment to debrief, I guess, or as well as, you know, it's almost therapeutic as well, just to be around guys. Don't have to say anything, I just have to know that, you know, they understand what I've been through, what I'm going through currently. And that in itself has been super therapeutic for me as well. So being on the Mayans MC has been one of the greatest experiences of my life. I hope this is just a beginning for me. I would love to continue on in the entertainment and acting in theater, in film and television, in any capacity. I have found that acting has been one of the best therapies I've ever done for myself. It's, for me, a guy who's normally kicking in the door and carrying a lot of weight and just a big brute, I now have to use my mental toughness, my mental skills to portray a character and make sure that the audience is believing it. And that for me is more thrilling and more exciting than anything I've ever done. And I never expected that. And so that's something I tell a lot of veterans as well. It's like, go to acting school, go to acting classes, just try it, because there's something about that, being able to play a character and it gives you the opportunity to cry. It gives you the opportunity to be emotional, to love, to all these different things that you probably wouldn't allow yourself to do, that acting is telling you to do. And I think in itself, it's therapy and it's a beautiful, beautiful art. And so being a part of acting, being a part of Hollywood, for me is satisfying on its own, but what I love is being able to receive messages from veterans saying they're inspired by me, they're motivated by me, by what I'm doing. And all it is to me is, I want to be able to provide value for veterans to see that there is life after service, right? The transition out is not as much of a fearful thing that everyone wants it to be. It's just, you're gonna go through these withdrawals, if you will. You're gonna go through these emotions of missing your guys and missing the camaraderie, missing it all, but it's okay. Because there's so many different times in our life that there's these transition events, right? Like just from crawling to walking, you know, that's a transition. Just from going from high school to college, that was a transition. Just going into, as a civilian, to the military, that's a transition. And so I just wanted guys to stop seeing getting out of the military is this very scary thing, and just accepting like, hey, it's just gonna be part of my life. I have to, if I need counseling, I need to seek counseling, and then let's go on and go forward and be successful in any realm that they choose, you know? Dealing with fans. I don't know, I don't really see it as anything other than part of the job. I appreciate every single person that comes up and asks for a picture and asks for an autograph or just comments or likes, because of the fact that, you know, they have been the ones who've been able to provide me with the lifestyle that I live today. So I'm 100% appreciative of the fans, the supporters, you know, the followers. Also know, like, I don't try and go out of my way to do anything just to make them happy. I just go out of my way to, I just try and live my life, and hopefully it sets an examples for others. It does get a little weird sometimes when you're sitting at dinner with your family and someone asks you for an autograph while you're mid-bite, but I also know that's part of the deal, you know, and I think it's worse when someone messages me saying, hey, I saw you at the gym and I wanted to say hi, but I didn't. That bothers me, because I'm like, why? I've never shown you that I'm not approachable. Like, I'm 100% approachable. Just say, hey, you mind if I get a picture? For sure. You want to hang out? For sure. You want to grab a beer? For sure. If you want to work out? Whatever. I'm one of the most approachable people you'll ever meet. It doesn't bother me. I actually say, like I said, I appreciate every single person that supports my actions and what I do. What can we look forward to? What can we look forward to? Well, we have a lot of stuff going on here in my world. Obviously, the Vinny Rock podcast, that's my podcast that I've been putting out. I interview as many interesting and motivating people as possible. Sometimes I give a little of my own personal insight of my family and life in itself. Besides the podcast, I have Throwbacks Barber Company. It is a barbershop downtown Salt Lake City, and you know, we're just providing amazing haircuts for people. And you know, with that, you got beard.com. Beard.com is always a hustle. You're always working to try and create you know, revenue and business in a world that's ridiculously saturated. It's hard, but you know, we like to provide a very honest approach to marketing and some fun stuff and nothing over the top. And so, you know, that's going on right now with beard.com. And you got Lead Slingers Whiskey. Lead Slingers Whiskey is growing throughout the states. I believe we're in 35 states now, and by the end of 2019, we should be in all 50 states. And so that's exciting. The last is Warfighter Tobacco. That's a cigar company that's all veteran owned as well. And you know, we're growing. It's a slow process. We're making our way in an industry that probably never expected our brand to do well, and it's doing very well at this time. So if you guys want to support any of those companies, go for it. I wrote a book recently called Light the Fuse, and it's really about a lot of my issues and transitioning out of military, out of just being a dad, out of having to let go of college baseball. And so it's just a book about a lot of my trials and tribulations in my life and the answers that help me find better direction and growth. And so that's pretty much what's going on. You got Mayans Season 2 comes out in September. Catch your boy here on that, and as well as several other TV shows that I'm trying to work on right now. I guess a piece of advice that I would give military is, man, it's tough. So I would say that don't hold on to the title of veteran. You know, don't hold that title and let that try and carry you, because it won't. I think the skill sets that you learn in the military, from hard work and ethics to care of equipment to neatness of dress, punctuality, all these different things that you've learned, all these little skill sets you've learned, I think those are the gold that you have that most people probably don't. That's where a kid coming out of college doesn't have the experiences, never faced adversity, all these different things that you have in the military that you've learned. That is what's going to carry you far in the workforce. That's what's going to make you more successful than the others to the left and to the right of you. It's not the title veteran. You walk around and say, hey, I'm a veteran, expect something out of that, you're not going to get anything. I think you need to start realizing that you still need to put in the work. You get out of active duty, you go into the civilian world, you have to put in the work to be successful. And the other thing I want to say is there is no boundary to what you can achieve. All right, you don't have to be a law enforcement officer because you carried a gun. You don't have to, you don't have to go and do contracting because you carried a gun. You can do anything you want to do. All you have to do is work hard, go to school, get your education. So many other, it's very, very simple process that takes a lot of time. Right? There's no such thing as overnight success. Most overnight successes take 10 years plus. So I would say, go out there, figure out what your new mission is, and do everything you can to work towards that mission. Work hard, work hard, work hard. Don't give yourself a plan B, because all you need is plan A, and make it happen. So thank you guys for watching the video. Hope you liked it. But now I got to get back to the Vinny Rock podcast. So take care. Hey, what's up, man? It's the Vinny Rock podcast. Today we're going to talk about transition.